Hello, hello, everybody.
Hello.
We are back from a week off. We got ready for Christmas, and now we're ready to do our final show of 2020. Can't believe we made it
the year's over. But
honestly, everybody pat themselves on the back. Everybody guzzle a nice glass of wine, and let's get ready for our final show.
I'll do both for you there. Thank God, and I'll give you all guys a little. We made it.
We made it. We made it
with you guys.
We also made it to episode 140 together. If you've been rocking with us from day one, we love you. If you're a newbie, we love you. We just love all of you who listen and watch. And we're excited to get into tonight's show because obviously we are getting down to the final week of the regular season in the NFL.
It's
crazy things happening.
Countdown. You put that on your Instagram story today. And it's such a good one.
It's a bop.
I don't know what the rules are for playing music during podcast. I think we can get royally copyrighted, so I won't play that right now. But just our mouth.
We sing it. We're
you
good.
can't come after me for singing it. Very well, for that matter.
Yes. So anyways, we got big stories in the world of Housewives as well. We got a great game for you tonight that looks forward into 2021. So let's get into it. We are going to give you our poll results. We polled you guys on our Instagrams, on Caitlin and mine. We did on Twitter as well. We have 3 questions here for you guys. And to be honest with you, looking at these results right now, all 3 were pretty close.
They were.
Question number 1, who is the better 10-5 AFC team, the Baltimore Ravens or the Tennessee Titans? 2 solid teams. I feel like this was a tough question.
Yeah.
68% of you guys said the Tennessee Titans. Caitlin, who did you go with?
Yeah, I mean, despite the Ravens beating our New York Giants last week, which was pretty much a no-brainer. I mean, I wish we put up a little bit more of a fight against the Ravens team that I think is kind of questioning where they are right now and kind of maybe not on the decline, but they're fighting for playoff contention. And I guess not a lot of people thought that from the Ravens right now. The Titans, on the other hand, while they're fighting for playoff contention, they've been pretty strong this entire season. And you have someone like Derrick Henry who will run through a brick wall at this point. Didn't show up too much in Green Bay, but listen, it was a blizzard. Who shows up in a blizzard, to be honest? So
and honestly, go ahead.
No, go.
Ryan Tannehill's stats have been really nice too. And I remember thinking I wasn't a believer last year in the Titans when they made the playoffs. Then they went on that crazy run, right? And I was like, that's fine. But Ryan Tannehill's not the answer. It's not a long-term thing. And lo and behold, they felt he was the long-term answer. And he's had some nice stats this year. I actually went with the Tennessee Titans as well.
Yes.
And it was funny during that Giants-Ravens game, whoever was commentating, doing the broadcast, actually said, is this Ravens team finally putting the pieces together? Or is it that they haven't faced the toughest of opponents these last couple of weeks?
And listen, they're a first round, in my opinion, they're a first round bust in the playoffs. They won't make it past the first round, in my opinion, with how they're playing right now. So I had to go with the Titans on this one.
I agree with you. Question number 2, which NFC West team still fighting for a spot would be the scarier playoff team? The Arizona Cardinals or the Los Angeles Rams? These 2 teams play each other this weekend. With an injured Jared Goff, he will not be playing, but who are you going with here?
I got to tell you, I honestly forgot who I voted for, but I think I went with the Rams.
I think you went with the Rams too,
and
so did I. And 56% of you, this was our closest one, 56% of you actually did not agree with the 2 of us.
Yeah.
You guys went with the Arizona Cardinals. I really do believe this is a very toss-up question.
Oh, absolutely.
You can make arguments for both sides.
Yeah.
So it's, I'd like to see both teams at full strength when they play each other this weekend to get a better, clearer idea of that.
It's funny. I think with the Rams, we come out of, a preseason of Hard Knocks where we're, with the Chargers and the Rams, but the story, the narrative this year has been on the Chargers because you're looking at a rookie, Justin Herbert, at quarterback, and that's where the narrative is. So the Rams maybe aren't under the radar, but they're not being talked about a lot. Not really discussing, but they are a good team. Yeah. And listen, Jared Goff, there's that big question mark always with him. You have Sean McVay. There's many question marks with that young attitude over in Los Angeles. But in my opinion, they do show up week after week. And they have a couple of questionable losses. But hey, it's 2020. Look at every NFL team. Does. Even the Pittsburgh Steelers that were running everyone over have very questionable losses on their radar right now. So you got to look at that. But listen, Jared Goff, he's out this week because of a thumb injury. That tough cookie popped that thumb right back into its socket on Sunday. And they think that he's going to be back for the first round of the playoffs. He had minor surgery. And listen, if that's the case, then I'm not worried. And I am more threatened about a team like the Rams that's going to play this weekend. They'll play tough, I think. It's kind of hard without Goff, but listen, they're going to play tough and they're going to get him back and they're going to play even tougher in the playoffs.
I feel like I say this time and time again, especially in the month of December when we've been doing a lot about talking about teams that could be in the playoffs, right? And I feel as though I have week after week always given the edge to a team that I feel has a little bit more playoff experience. And you have that with the Rams. You don't have that with the Cardinals. You have Kyler Murray, who doesn't have playoff experience. You have Jared Goff, who has Super Bowl experience. Yeah. So to me,
it's not great Super Bowl experience, but it's experience.
Yeah, but I keep finding myself giving the edge in that regard.
Yep.
Okay, and finally, our last question. If you guys have been watching the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I know Caitlin and I have been loving it.
I'm like an episode or two behind, so I just
I know it's been great.
I know.
Should Meredith and Seth from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City get back together? Really funny. We did the notes for the show this morning, and then maybe like an hour or two ago, an article broke, Meredith confirming that her and Seth are in fact getting back together.
Reconciling.
That's very interesting. But 68% of you said no, they should not get back together. Caitlin, I think you and I both agreed. I said no.
I don't like him. He's like Emily's husband on Orange County. What the hell is his name? He's a pain in my butt. Some of the husbands just don't like, and putting New Jersey husbands aside, because they are truly they are the bread and butter. They are everything that we've ever asked for in a franchise of men. But so putting them aside, there's just some that don't make the mark. And listen, as much as it's called Housewives, husbands are very much a part of the show. Yeah. Truly a staple to each franchise. They are on screen. They are making cameos. They have their little side interviews sometimes. They're coming up to the reunion. Listen, you have a part of it. So some of them just don't make the mark for me. And I know this is our first season with Salt Lake City. I'm just not a fan of him. He's not there for his family. I might have missed this episode, so tell me if I did, but I did see a preview of where he truly just does not go to his son's fashion week event or something. And honestly, I can tell that Brooks is working hard out there. I'm a Brooks fan. I really like him. You can't just do that. And he seems very arrogant and work first. And listen, I'm a workaholic. I love my job, but I would never, ever put aside my faith, my values, my family for a job. It's not worth it.
Well, listen, I'll say I had two kind of major reasons for why I said no. The last one I'm gonna not say because I want you to discover on your own in the most recent episode something that Jen says, a rumor about them. Ooh. And I feel as though I'm gonna say, if that rumor is true, I don't think they should get back together. Okay. I'll go back to the part you have seen, and most people have seen because it happened in episode 1 or 2. I hated that scene where Meredith and Seth sat together at dinner and they were trying to have a good date night. And he got into the whole conversation of well, you would never let me look at your phone. What are you hiding? And I just felt,
petty,
oh my God. it made me feel like this was a high school relationship that I was
know.
looking at. And it was a really ugly moment for Seth. And that to me was like red flag, red flag, red flag. So I didn't like that. But I wish them the best. I feel like I do like them as people, but I don't know. I need to hear this rumor because I think if that rumor is nah.
Yeah. And I'm really starting to like Meredith a lot more.
I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of the fans are really liking her.
I follow her on Instagram too, and she does a lot of interactive stuff with the fans. So I am starting to like her a lot. Yeah. So maybe it's something that I don't want to see the downfall of. But hey, we did get the news earlier that they are back together. So
I want to say one thing about the rumor. It's something that Meredith has potentially done, not Seth.
Okay.
That's what I'll leave it at.
All right. Well, those were our poll questions. Thank you guys so much week after week for participating. We love to see it. I love to see the numbers go up, every hour before we start the show. So if you have any questions for us live, though, you can ask us. We are reading all comments across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you have anything for us, pop it in. We will answer it. So let's go ahead and get into our big stories of the week for football. We are starting with the drama of the drums. It started in the NFL draft 2 years ago when Mr. Dwayne Haskins looked at his phone and laughed when the New York Giants selected Daniel Jones as their quarterback. Since that day, he has been on a spiraling downhill, just going downhill. Absolutely awful, absolutely embarrassing. So here is the latest. So on Monday, it was announced that Washington was going to release quarterback Dwayne Haskins after just 2 seasons. He was drafted 15th overall, and he also made that comment that the NFL made a huge mistake letting him fall that far in the draft. LOL at you, Mr. Dwayne Haskins. In 2019, that happened. He was benched on Sunday to their loss against Carolina. And then also, sorry, it's going to happen a lot probably to the show. Dry throat. But then head coach Ron Rivera did say that they would start Tyler Heineke, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, if Alex Smith was unable to play this weekend. And there was also that drama llama too with that he wouldn't speak to the press. After the game, he just left the locker room and the PR team tried to contact him and they couldn't. Listen, there was just so much stirring after Sunday. It didn't feel good. As soon as I heard that he just left the facilities and no one could contact him, I didn't have a great feeling. And then Monday, lo and behold, he is released. So late Monday morning, Rivera told owner Dan Snyder, who is obviously on the hot seat for a lot of shit as well, of his desire to move on from Haskins. Listen, I wouldn't want Ron Rivera to tell people that he wants to move on from me, to be honest. And he was given the green light to do so. So listen, he counts for $8.5 million in dead salary cap. So for the space next year. And then it also I talked about the PR drama after the game, but this comes after the whole shit, excuse me, where he was with strippers. He ordered strippers to his room. Apparently that was his excuse for the thing. I ordered them. They came to me. But there's a bunch of people that they don't know. They have no masks on. And it's just guys, come on. We're going through some shit right now. We're lucky that we have sports. Stop. You need to be smart about things. So this was right after, and also they lost to Seattle. So this is right after that. Right.
Hours that,
He was fined $400,000 for his
$40,000.
Sorry, $40,000. So I can't with this. And it's just, so but for his
that was his second time. Yeah.
Because the other one, they were at a restaurant. He gathered a bunch of people at a restaurant, no mask, things like that. And just dude, come on. So obviously, they took away his role as captain. I would take that away as well. That's one of the biggest arguments that I'm seeing out there right now. He is a young, and a lot of people are pointing to race too. He's a young Black quarterback. And for, apparently what I've been hearing, when I listen to Get Up in the Morning in Sports Center, for the Black quarterback to kind of establish themselves as a leader and things like that, it's been very difficult for a lot of them. And you have a kid like Dwayne Haskins come in and totally like shave off years of progress, years of all of this stuff. People like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, really shooting forward, being these leaders on these teams, being these really talented players, for like dumb mistakes like this, for stupid things that shouldn't happen. So I've been hearing that argument a lot. And it's just it's mind boggling, and I get it. It's super frustrating and upsetting. But before I got your insights on this, apparently the Carolina Panthers are showing some interest, and some other teams are showing interest as well with Haskins. We do not know the names of these other teams right now. It's very just much up in the air. High level teams are interested. I personally would not be interested, but what are your, thoughts on this whole fucking debacle, to be honest?
I guess,
pardon my French, but
I guess to speak on the Panthers and other teams being interested, I think at best Dwayne Haskins is worth coming in just for at best having a quarterback competition.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really just to have that guy to light a fire under someone else's ass. You know what I mean? The guy that
you can pay me to come light a fire.
Sometimes you just need a guy to give you really want to be your quarterback, that push that they need, right? I don't like him as a starter in the league. He's obviously shown that he's not mature enough. And then kind of my other main thought that goes with not being mature is I kind of don't really understand why he was named a captain to begin with. I feel like it took them a while to figure out who was going to be their starting quarterback heading into the season. And so it's kind of like, okay, he clearly isn't your like main leader. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just felt like if they were sure about him.
It's the same thing with
but I don't know. I get that he plays the quarterback position.
That's it. I get
that he was going into his second year, but at the same time, it's not like if Daniel Jones was named captain, he actually played a lot in his first year. Like Haskins didn't even really play much in his first year. So you haven't even really seen him as a leader on the field. You might have seen him as a leader off the field, which why did you make him a captain? Because he was good off the field, right? And they never really saw him on the field. So I don't really understand why he was named a captain. I agree with Washington releasing him. I was surprised that it happened now and not after the season, but it was a bold statement, and I agree with it. And again, I wouldn't want him. And I guess the last thing I'm going to say is, because we know Carolina Panthers are one of those teams, I hate to say it to you, but yes, I do believe Bridgewater's not their long-term answer. So they are going to need a quarterback. But I have to say, for any of the other teams that are interested, I feel that there's some good names in the draft. And we're going to talk about free agents later in our game. And I feel like there's a couple of free agents you could take a peek at that I personally think are definitely better than Haskins.
You have a lot of options that are taking, COVID protocols seriously. You have a lot of options of young kids that are excited sitting through a draft that don't open their mouths after they had the opportunity to be drafted. And you have, other, you have people too that just show up and follow the rules, follow everything. And Dwayne Haskins has showed us that he does not do that. He does not follow COVID protocols. He opens his mouth after he's drafted 15th overall and complains about it. He rolls his eyes when the Giants do not take him, which, hey, we're sitting pretty. I'm very happy that we did not take you. He does not go and talk to the press, which is very much slated. Be like Marshawn Lynch then. Just sit there and say, I am here. That's all you have to do. You just have to show up. In my opinion, there's too much off-field shit. You could be in for someone who's not good. He's not good. He doesn't show up on Sundays either.
Right. I just feel like you have to earn things. Like, I understand, like, you were probably the stud in high school and then you were the stud in college, but like, you have to earn things. You have to earn respect, and you have to, just because you get drafted in the first round doesn't mean that you're safe with your spot, because clearly you're not, right? just because you're the quarterback doesn't necessarily mean you should have been handed being a captain because you weren't a good leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to earn things. And I felt like he just thought like, oh, I was a great college quarterback and I got drafted in the first round. So like, I'm good. Like, I'm cool. Like, no, now you're in the NFL and it's a whole nother league. And you need to actually show that you care and show effort and take it very seriously, because all I'm seeing is that you're not taking your opportunity seriously.
No. Not at all. So obviously that was our biggest story, coming out of the week, because it's been unfolding week after week. It's fun. So we do have a comment on Facebook. Christopher wants to know who had the best Secret Santa. Tell the world what my brother got you for.
That's hilarious.
Santa.
Yeah. So Caitlin's brother and I worked together. He was my Secret Santa. He organized it, so I think he also rigged it that he would get me.
He showed me a couple of weeks ago when he got you.
No, I'm a pretty easy person to shop for.
No, this was good.
Also very close friends. But he got me a beautiful, very nice bottle of gin, a brand that I never had before, but it looks very fancy. It looks very good.
On deck.
Then he also got me a cutting board with a whole like Schitt's Creek dialogue from the folding the cheese scene. And it's honestly amazing. And I was super pumped. And thank you, Christopher. I love it. It's awesome.
It was very, very good. Yes. It was hard not to tell you. It was funny when he sent it to me. At first, I thought he gave it to you gave it to him, and I was happy that I realized it, because I was going to text you and be like, "Oh my god,
great gift, good idea."
But then I put two and two together, because then I don't know, and I was just like, okay, that was definitely not the case. Like, he has Katie.
That's funny. But yeah, great gift. Hope you guys, I got a new Eli jersey for Christmas. I hope you guys got some good football gear.
I got Giants leggings. I got a lot, obviously wine. So I'm drinking a wine my sister got me. So thank you, Jacqueline. But I got some sweet ass Giants leggings. Like, can't wait to rock those at MetLife when it's freezing next year. So
we're two real easy gals to shop for,
sports
and housewives, and we're happy. So
yes.
All right, let's get into our week 16 thoughts. A lot of scenarios where teams clinched certain spots. One of the teams finally clinched a first round bye. Only, two teams, one team from the NFC, one team from the AFC getting those. So let's just jump right in. Obviously, if you play fantasy football and you have Alvin Kamara, you better send a Christmas gift to that man.
Listen, I won 2 out of my 3 fantasy games. So.
Nice. That's awesome. Good shit. Did you have Alvin Kamara?
No.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, so New Orleans running back Alvin Kamara, he rushed for 155 yards and scored 6 touchdowns in a 52-33 win over Minnesota.
I think after the 4th one, I was like, he's got to be done. And then it was 5. And then I was like, 6?
It honestly could have been 7, because in the final minutes, they went to the red zone twice. And
I was convinced.
And they didn't, and Sean Payton didn't bring him out. And people were like, what the hell? Like, he could have broke the record.
So I think that happened too after his 4th or 5th one. He was on the sideline too, catching his breath. And people were questioning. I was like, let him relax. Seriously.
Put that man in. No.
I would have 1 touchdown and be like, all right, give me a
But it did. He is now tied for the most rushing touchdowns in a game in NFL history. Again, I think he could have broke that. But that's
what did Dalvin Cook get in earlier? He got 4, I think. What was it? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Was it 4? So 6. 6 clearly tops that.
But sometimes Dalvin and certainly Alvin Kamara have a mix of rushing and receiving touchdowns. So this was a rushing touchdown record, 6 rushing touchdowns, unbelievable. Then we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They stomped on the Detroit Lions, 47-7 win. That clinched them a playoff berth for the first time since 2007.
Good for them.
Congrats to the Bucs. Congrats to Buccaneers fans. I have a close friend, Nick, who's a Bucs fan, and people have been waiting a long time for this. We have a few teams that are potentially making the playoffs. Potentially the Browns. That the Bills the Bills made it last year, but you know what I mean? Some of these fan bases that aren't used to making it or making it for the first time in a very long time. And it's pretty awesome. So,
yeah.
The New York Jets, they won their second straight game, which locks the Jacksonville Jaguars in for the number one draft. I literally picked the Jets losing as my lock.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a Jets fan who commented on our Instagram saying, I don't know, the Jets might jet it up and win another one and lose the first pick. And look what happens. So
it's truly Jets fashion. So
it is. So yeah, we could definitely potentially be looking at Trevor Lawrence as a Jacksonville Jaguar next year.
Hey, I could see it, and I could see good things there.
Yeah. Of course. Then we had the Chicago Bears with an impressive 41-17 win over Jacksonville. I know that's not the strongest opponent, but that now gives Chicago 30-plus points in 4 straight games, which is the first time that's happened since 1965. Until I read that stat, I didn't realize just how clicking and high-powered offense Chicago's had this season. I you know what I mean? Because we thought that there was this huge quarterback struggle of Trubisky, Nick Foles. Trubisky's not the guy, and here they go. They're firing on all cylinders. It's honestly very impressive.
So basically what I've been hearing what makes total sense. I mean, I think the fact that the narrative is going back to Mitch Trubisky right now, should we sign him again for another couple of years? I mean, it's hilarious to me. But so what I've been hearing though, and I think it makes total sense. So Matt Nagy, I think at the beginning of the season was, trying to run the team and doing the play calling and doing everything. What they've done since now is their offensive coordinator is making the plays.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Nagy's running the team, and Mitch Trubisky's playing quarterback.
So it's always the best bet. I know teams try to do that.
And it's showing. Things are clicking, and maybe that. And listen, the Bears have a good defense, so I think that the offense kind of needed those 3 sections to work. They needed an offensive-minded person. And it's not that Matt Nagy's not. He is. But they needed their actual coordinator to call the plays. They needed Matt Nagy to run the team, to actually operate the entire team. And they needed Mitch Trubisky to go out and make plays for them.
But I didn't even think they had the studs on offense to be doing what they're doing. But honestly, listen, they're playing Green Bay this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And that's a division matchup. And those teams are playing full starters because Green Bay, that NFC top number 1 seed is still up for grabs and Green Bay can get it. Mm-hmm. So both of these teams are desperately want to win this game. And I feel like this game is really going to showcase where the Bears stand. I think this is going to be a good game. I'm very interested to see how it pans out.
For sure.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, I know it's been a little rocky for them lately, right? But they clinched the AFC North Division after a come-from-behind 28-24 win over the Colts. Caitlin, I think both you and I picked the Colts.
I thought the Colts were going to win that game.
And they looked like they were going to win that game, and that was a huge –
They look good.
That was a very good momentum booster for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And – we're going to talk about them later with our game picks, but they are sitting Ben Roethlisberger this weekend. He will not be playing. Mm-hmm. But that was a big win with your starters to kind of go into the playoffs. And then Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, he collected his 28th passing touchdown. That is an NFL rookie record. I think Baker broke it his rookie season and only held that record for a little bit of time. Justin Herbert, he is truly the answer for that team. And
I love it because this quarterback class coming in for the draft, and then we look at guys like Mac Jones will enter in a year. It's a lot of more talented quarterbacks are coming in, and I think that they're going to be like the Justin Herberts of the world. Not kind of the classes where they're questionable, like the Mitch Trubiskys and kind of what's going on there. I think we're seeing more successful quarterbacks enter the league, and to me, that's very exciting. And this goes to show it. Baker only held on to that for 3 seasons. Someone else came and got it.
I also feel like we're seeing a lot of when things look like they were going to start turning in the direction of dual threat quarterbacks. I feel like we are starting to see okay, we've still got these college kids, we still got some pocket passers, right? Like Justin Herbert. And there's kids coming in too that I'm like, okay, good. Because I don't really like moving in that direction.
No, yeah.
So that makes me happy. And then speaking of, we told you that a team clinched the first round bye, only one of two coveted spots. That is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
They're looking solid. And then the Seattle Seahawks, they clinched the NFC West in a competitive division. They've had their ups and downs, but
that was up until like it was neck and neck, like up until like that, like I think we entered the season where I really thought the Seahawks were going to take it. But as we like just game week after week, I was like, listen, like, I don't know who's going to win
that first round bye in the NFC is also up for grabs for the Seattle Seahawks. They play a division rival in the 49ers, who are really not playing for anything at this point, but to potentially spoil things for the Seahawks. That will, again, be another interesting game to watch because you do want to ride high going into the playoffs. That would be a really important game for the Seahawks to try and win.
True that.
Alrighty.
Well, we are getting into our, I can't believe it, but
we're going to be making playoff picks next week.
I know. So we are in our final week of the regular season. Like, call it crazy, but this season has gone fast. But listen, lo and behold, 2020 has gone fast too. And that is probably a blessing in disguise for all of us here. I did want to point out though, so Katie and I did celebrate our 3-year anniversary this year. I remember on one of our first episodes in front of the Christmas tree was when we spoke about the Chiefs, resting Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes playing. That was like one of the biggest stories. And we had a very good dialogue. I think it was for like 10, 15 minutes of kind of like understanding of like what's going to go on and like things like that. And here we are 3 years later, and you would never, the Chiefs are sitting Patrick Mahomes this weekend. And it's crazy how the world works and kind of how things shift. So
I clearly remember that episode and conversation.
Absolutely. I'll always remember that as one of like our first conversations because it definitely was a hot topic at the time. Yeah. And I don't think that we saw, and like nothing against Patrick Mahomes, but I just don't think we saw the trajectory that he was going to make. I think it was more so that everybody thought Alex Smith was still playing really well at that time.
He was still starting a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. So it was I remember it was a very bold move for Andy Reid to make. And he went with his gut and he went with what he saw in Patrick Mahomes, and man, has it panned out. And honestly, I still think Alex Smith is a starter in this league. And I will be very afraid if he is starting for Washington this week.
I don't know. I hope he's not.
I love Alex Smith. I love you. Nothing against you, but please don't play.
Just don't play. We just don't want you to play. So I did want to bring that up because I thought it was such an interesting nugget of information there. So so our week 17 picks, as always, we will give you all of our picks plus one lock and one upset. So why don't you go ahead and get us started? Ooh, I got my second screen up. This is very bright right now.
Sure. Just a couple of notes. We kind of said some of them. Pittsburgh, Roethlisberger sitting out. Mason Rudolph is going to be playing. Kansas City, Mahomes sitting out. Chad Henney's going to be at quarterback. And Buffalo has not confirmed whether or not they will be, because again, there's no bye up for grabs anymore in the AFC. So they might sit some starters, but they have not yet confirmed. It's just things to keep in mind making these picks. If you do pick them, if you do Survivor, you got to know these things.
Yep.
So in week 17, I am going with Tampa Bay. Don't shoot me, but I'm going with Dallas.
Hey!
I know. Listen, I like going that route because if I'm wrong, then I'm like pleasantly surprised.
No, I'm surprised you didn't burst into flames right there.
It was hard.
And wearing an Eli jersey.
It was hard. I'm going with the Jets. I'm going with the Vikings, the Browns, Baltimore, Miami, Seattle, Arizona, the Colts, the Titans, the Raiders, the Chargers, Green Bay, New Orleans, and Philadelphia. My lock is the Colts over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And my upset is the Jets over New England.
All right. We do have, I think we're a good mix of what we have right here.
Okay.
So I am going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New York Giants, because I don't want to burst into flames over here, the Jets, the Vikings, the Cleveland Browns, the Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, Seahawks, Cardinals, the Colts, the Titans, the Broncos, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Packers, the Saints, and to wrap us up on Sunday night, and just make note, all these games are on Sunday, so that's giving me hard palpitations. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles because we clearly need that W coming out. My upset is the same as Katie. It's the Jets over the Patriots. Listen, they're an awful team, but they're hot right now. The Jets, they're so hot right now.
I can't help but laugh when you say that.
So they're totally going to come out and just win and go 3-13. And I'm just proving to you, I told you they were not going to go 0-16. And then my lock is the Colts over the Jaguars.
Oh, so we had the same, and we only had 4 different.
It was a good week for us.
You know what's crazy too is like, obviously percentage wise, Washington has the best percentage to win the division, then the Giants, then the Cowboys. But with my picks, with Philadelphia winning and and Dallas winning, that would put the Dallas Cowboys to win the division.
And you want them to go to the playoffs, Katie? Their fans are so annoying.
You and I have always differed in that aspect, where you have hated Dallas more than the Eagles, and I have always hated the Eagles more than Dallas.
You know what it is? I think it's truly the fans.
We're surrounded by a lot, like Cowboys Nation is
because it's America's
in New Jersey.
I can't deal with it. I don't care about Washington. They're just on their other. They bring a lot of fans actually to the games, but they're like on another island. I don't care about them.
Oh yeah, if it's not the New York Giants, let Washington win. I can't see Philly or Dallas winning.
But the Cowboys, I can't stand them. They're so annoying. They don't even have good arguments. At least like some Eagles fans like know football and have like some knowledge in their head. Like Cowboys fans have no football knowledge.
They're very unrealistic.
And I'm a very unrealistic Giants fan. I will admit that. But at least I know what I'm talking about. They are just like so. Every year is their year. And it's not like we'll be better this year. It's like we're going to the Super Bowl this year.
I know.
You can't go into every season like that.
No. It's not healthy. It's not healthy.
You would think you're going to be good. I think the Giants are going to be good.
Expectations. That's not healthy for you.
It's not. And that's what they're not healthy. They're not.
Listen, it's going to shape up to be an unbelievable ending to the 2020 regular season.
Who the hell is going to make them? I don't know who is. The fact that the Giants still can gives me so much heartburn. Like
it's either going to be a 7-9 Washington football team, or a 6-10 New York Giants team, or a 6-10 Dallas Cowboys team.
And it just gives me so much heartburn that I am still carrying week after week, and it's like we're still there, and they're going to make the playoffs and probably give us so much more heartburn for the rest of the year.
We'll see what happens, but let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of Housewives. We do have a Housewives departure. Man, I feel like we've had a lot of that in 2020.
This one was dramatic, though. You don't see this often.
Yeah. After part 3 of the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion.
Stop having part 3s.
It's too much on everybody.
That's what the problem.
Monique Samuels went on Instagram Live to reveal she was leaving the show for good after 4 seasons. Now 2 weeks ago, we had our show where we did our housewife polls that we saw on Twitter, right? And one of them was like, who do you like out of these 4 housewives? And I think it was Monique was like a landslide. So people really like her. And
it was sweeped social media nation. Like it was everywhere. And it's, we know Potomac's not our favorite franchise. We've been very vocal about that, but Well, apparently this reunion has been like top notch and it's been crazy. And this was like the cherry on top of everything.
We do have some Housewife fans though who swear by Potomac, and
maybe I'll give it
love it.
Maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe.
But we do have a quote from Monique. She did say it was a crazy ride. It's not easy doing reality TV, and to be quite honest, I'm over it. I appreciate everything people have done for me, everything that has been Team Monique. I love y'all, but when you cross certain lines, there's no going back. For me, my family is that line. The opinion of my family and my kids and what they think about that and what they think about that I do is more valuable to me than anybody's opinion. So I'm over it. Rumors state that Bravo did in fact ask Monique back for season 6, but she decided to leave large in part to her season 5 drama with Candace Dillard and said the season 5 reunion was very draining to watch. We hear you, Monique. We say that after every reunion we watch.
They are.
And she wants to leave in order to protect her family from the drama. She did go on to talk about, like, you know, when my kids watch this back one day and everything like that, like, I don't know if I'll like what they see.
Yeah.
And that's completely understandable. I think about that all the time. I'm a teen mom watcher. Right.
Yeah.
And I see like those deadbeat dads like all the time. And I'm like, damn, like these kids, the Teen Mom has been going on for like a decade, right? These kids are getting older. And one day when they watch this, they're going to be like, damn, like I had a parent that straight up didn't care about me.
Like that, like you're
so
shit.
That's a real thing to think about when you are a housewife, like for not just Monique, but for all of them. Like they make some very questionable decisions 100%. Or their character is attacked, or even for their children to read things on social media, read comments, read tweets, see what fans think about them. That I know personally, my mother was a housewife, right? And people commented all over social media and she was one of the not popular housewives and people just bashed her. That would rip my heart into a million pieces.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult thing to be on reality TV and to have your family, especially in Housewives, your family is included in that. So they might not even just bash you.
Yeah.
But potentially, and we've seen it, like bash your husband, bash your children, bash your life. It's very difficult. And I understand why certain people would feel the need to step away from it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a huge loss for that franchise.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's the thing. Like it's everything that I've just been reading is that obviously the reunion's been very intense and very draining and a lot's been revealed and things like that. Her departure was probably bigger than all 3 of those episodes. So people are still talking about it and it's insane. So
yeah. We'll keep you posted. I mean, obviously, with all of these big names leaving these franchises, Bravo has been trying to fill in all these rookies. And we have said we feel like they're on a bit of a roll. Like we like what they've been doing recently, filling those voids. And this is going to be a void that's going to need to be filled in Potomac.
Well, speaking of that, the rookie thing. So I think it was Bravo posted an Instagram. I could be wrong though. It could have been one of the Bravo accounts. I think it was Bravo. They posted like it was like a scorecard almost, but not really scored of all the rookies of this year of 2020.
Did Leah dominate?
No, sorry. I maybe I used the wrong word. It wasn't a score. It was kind of just like a swipe through, almost like think of like a baseball card like collection, like of rookies. Like that's kind of like what it was. There was no scoring. That was a poor choice of words. But it was just all the rookies from this year, and obviously like everyone from Salt Lake City was on it. But like they're even across like franchises. Like Dallas had, the new. They have a lot. Like there's Orange County, Hills. Like it's a good rookie year. So I feel as though like we're going in a good direction of rookies.
I feel as though like in the last month or two specifically, I feel like we've been on this show a lot, like announcing new housewives and like giving insider information into like who they are and what their background is. So it's good to see, like, honestly, you could potentially lose people and it could kill your franchise, but they're going on and they're moving forward and they're marching on and they're still okay. And that's a good reassuring thing to see.
So moving into our second story of the week for Housewives. So Real Housewives of Dallas, Deandra Simmons is hospitalized with COVID. Oh, this is like the worst thing to read right now. So yesterday it was reported that Deandra was hospitalized due to COVID, and just really scary from her rep to People magazine that her oxygen levels were found to be quote unquote, borderline, which is not good. Obviously, one of the huge symptoms with COVID is coughing, can barely breathe, things like that. So just 2 days before her hospitalization, she was at home in Dallas spending Christmas with her family, which is terrifying to know too, that she was with people and things like that. But then, today, new cast member Tiffany Moon tweeted that she spoke to Deandra and that she's still very sick, but on the mend. So listen, like, this is like scary stuff. Like, all transparency, like, to our audience, like, I actually do have COVID right now. It is very scary. Tomorrow I actually end isolation. So I've been okay. Like, you see me drinking wine. So like I'm on the mend as well. But I think like prior to like, me, getting it like 10 days ago, like, we'd read these stories and I'd be like super scared and like, oh my God, like, can't believe it. And like, now I'm reading these stories and I'm like, oh my God, like, again, like, it's like, it's terrifying to know that, like, I've been very fortunate to where like my case has been very mild and like, I'm doing okay. Like, and I sincerely mean I'm doing okay. But like, I read some of these stories, especially ones like this, and it's truly, truly terrifying. This shit is real. And like, that's why I got a little heated before with like Dwayne Haskins. Like, you have to take this shit seriously.
Yeah, no, it's definitely scary. And anytime you see somebody's hospitalized for it, I mean, that's when you know it's very serious. Because obviously there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have had COVID, people, Caitlin and other people that I know who, like, they stay home for 2 weeks and they get through it, right? Like, it's, yes, you're going to have symptoms. You might have a fever, lose smell, taste, but like, it's just something that you have to stay home and get through, right? Yeah. But when you hear somebody being hospitalized, it takes it to another level, like those scarier levels that you read on the news. And obviously these women who are housewives across the board, across these franchises, they are all like in their 40s, 50s, some of them in their 60s. So when I did read the news that she was hospitalized and then that scary news from her rep, it is a very serious thing. And it was a little bit comforting to see Tiffany like tweet that. Yeah. But at the same time, she also said she's still very sick, and it's like, it's scary. And hopefully we can report good news and positive news. And obviously everybody's prayers are with her and hope that she'll be okay. But that still really scares me, what was said about her oxygen levels and everything like that.
Yeah, so there is something. So this is actually a tip from like I'm a big like Bachelor person. There's two people from like the Bachelor world. They are dating. They're together. They actually just got it. They did order something that will help, to understand like your oxygen levels and things like that. So, when like you go to like, urgent care or the doctor or whatever, they put that thing on your finger. Yes, you can buy one. I think you can buy it on Amazon. I don't know the name of it. So just, sorry, I'm not a doctor. They did suggest buying one because COVID's a mental game. As much it is very physical and you are sick, you mentally are questioning a lot of things too. So with the oxygen levels, you might be questioning like, am I struggling to breathe right now? Or am I just kind of like going crazy? So they suggested, and I thought it was a great tip because the past couple of weeks, like I've been okay, but there's certain things that cross my mind because I read stories like this. You buy it, it's very similar. It's like a quick temperature. You put it on your finger and it tells you what your oxygen levels are.
I mean, I just got tested, and that's the thing that they put on you. Like they check your vitals.
Yeah. And, so that's what it basically does. It is affordable. So people that are going through this right now, like if you are concerned, like I said, it is a mental game, I would go ahead and purchase one of those. I wish I did 10 days ago, but so I might now, but I'm not on wood. I'm in the clear. So we're good.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm super, super relieved and happy that you're feeling better and that, you were able to get through it. And like you said, on the mend and anybody going through it. We're just going to hope that 2021 and this vaccine and everything like that really brings everybody into a much, much, much better place. But everybody just be cautious, be safe.
Be smart. Like, even like, look at me. Like, I've been smart and I do follow all the rules, and I still got, like, you just gotta.
You know, what can you do though? Like, I'm just gonna say, like, for just an example that I always think of, like, we're all still going and doing our grocery shopping, right?
That's what I'm thinking about.
And thousands and thousands of people go through that store in a week, and it's too many to take people's temperatures when you walk in, or to force people to put on hand sanitizer when they come through the door. So everybody just, if you got to get tested, do what you got to do. It's rough out there.
And I would check so we live in New Jersey, obviously, check your counties for when the vaccination is going to be available. My county actually offers 2 free tests a month. The saliva test if you have no symptoms, and the nasal swab if you do have symptoms. So check what your counties are doing. So obviously I was very fortunate with this one. I did the spit test because my county offers 2 free a month. So I didn't have to go wait in line. It wasn't a rapid test. I didn't have to pay for it, things like that.
Good.
Yeah. So just check around you. And then listen, I know rapid tests are a disaster. We're in New Jersey. So just check around you for other options. Try to get tested. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's better knowing than.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into our game for the night. It is NFL related. And like I said, it kind of goes with the theme of our last show of 2020, because we are looking forward into 2021. The game is called Forget the Draft and Remember These Free Agents. So with the regular season coming to a close this weekend, several teams who will not be making the postseason are already going to start looking forward to the draft and to free agency for 2021. But we are going to take a look at specifically not the draft, but specifically free agents. Caitlin and I are going to look at the 2021 free agents and give you our top 3 available for several positions that we're going to talk about.
We got a lot of people over here.
To discuss. So let's just start it right off. Obviously, with the most important position on the field, I kind of feel like if you need a quarterback, and I might, when we go through this list, tell you, go to the draft versus go to free agency. Yeah. Quarterback, I'm just going to say I don't think the free agency list is too hot. And if you have a low draft pick, I definitely suggest going to a quarterback route in the draft. Yeah. But who are your top 3 quarterback free agents for 2021?
So I'll just be honest. So I didn't do these in any particular order. I didn't do 1, 2, 3. I just kind of listed them because it got a little harder further down the list with people. Listen, Dak Prescott, you're not getting him, but if you have the availability, Dak Prescott is your number 1 free agent right now. And then I'm going to go with Phillip Rivers. Listen, even if you just take him for 1 year, look what he's done with 1 season with the Bills.
He's still got it. I'm watching him this last Sunday, right? And I watched him on a couple plays, and still seeing him just a flick of the wrist, bomb it down the field. I'm like, wow, this guy's still got it. He really does.
Very natural. It's very easy. It looks. And then my final pick, I'm going to go with Tyrod Taylor. We spoke a lot about him last season. Obviously, I think that, obviously everything with, LA right now with Justin Herbert, he truly is a leader. And I think we did get a lot more insight into that with Hard Knocks. And I think I was very happy that I got to watch and see more of that. He is a good quarterback, though. Yeah. I think everything that happened this year was 2020 in a nutshell. He literally got his lung punctured by a doctor. How does that happen? I don't know. I don't know. And then just someone came in, and that usually is his track record. Someone comes in and is playing better. Yeah. He is a good quarterback, though. If you can get him free agency, even just to be your backup, very good pick there. So I'm definitely putting him in my top 3 here.
So the only thing, and this is not against your pick because I get him putting him into the mix, but as you just said, considering him as a backup role, I think it speaks to the fact that this is not a strong free agency class for quarterbacks, because
and I think that's
somebody who you're looking at as a backup. There's not many options here. So,
but with a year like we had right now, think of the COVID nonsense we've had. Yeah. the Denver Broncos. They had that huge scare. Not only do you need a backup, you needed a third and a fourth string.
Or not COVID related. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, we all thought it was so weird when they took Andy Dalton because we were like, you don't need him, right?
But here we are.
Like, they're like, holy crap, thank God we made that move because they, completely lost Dak Prescott.
So I think this year, like with that example and the COVID examples, puts a lot more stress on the backup and also your third. And if you do want to take a fourth string, some people might nowadays. It really puts a lot more stress on that.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Dak, and I did put mine in order, by the way. So one, Dak Prescott. I mean, he's the top free agent out of all free agency across all positions.
Yeah, you're not getting him, but there he is.
Number 2 is Phillip Rivers, and I honestly thought when I saw him sign his 1-year deal with the Colts, I was like, okay, he's going to do 1 year and then he's going to retire. But again, the guy's got it, and this Colts team is pretty damn good. So I would like to see him come back at least 1 more year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If they're still kind of like trying to work things out at the end of this season, listen, maybe they have a really good playoff run. Maybe they're looking, they fall further back in the draft. They're trying to figure things out. They might keep them for another year.
I would, if I'm the Colts, I'm trying to do that. Squeeze another year out of him, right? Yep. And number 3, I'm going with Mitchell Trubisky.
Listen, Katie, I cannot jump on that. Like, I can't. Like, he's the narrative, the Baker Mayfield narrative. He's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers narrative, where every week it's yes, no, and I'm so sick of it.
If you're going with your third guy in Tyrod Taylor as a backup option, let's just throw Trubisky as a backup option. I'd rather have Trubisky.
I don't want him as a backup. I just don't want him.
All right, well, let's go into our running backs. Who do you have here? I think there was some good options here. I really do.
There were 100% for sure. So I'm going with Chris Carson, Leonard Fournette, and Kenyon Drake. You got to look at Chris Carson. Listen, he's finally back with the Seahawks. I think that they needed their defense to click, and that's finally clicking. Yep. But having Chris Carson back has made a huge impact. Obviously, Kenyon Drake is doing great things with Arizona. And then Leonard Fournette, it was definitely a big, he stayed in Florida. I know you question it, but listen, he stayed in Florida, went over to Tampa Bay, but I think when it comes to free agency, and I know this might sound like duh, Caitlin, but like you look at like the veteran aspect of things, and like while it's not our best of the best vet, it's still a familiar name, a familiar play. And I just kind of, I
listen, to speak on that, Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell are in that mix. They're 2021 free agents. Don't have them, but if you're going that route, you have options like that as well.
Todd Gurley is just such a question mark to me.
But he's got 9 touchdowns this season. So like,
he does, but at the height of his career, we were questioning because all of a sudden he got hurt one week, and I just
feel like if you're a guy who could at least find the end zone 9 times this season, then you might as well bring him in, right? But my 3 are different, and I'm a little. Well, I have 2 of the same, but I'm a little surprised you left this one guy off your list because he's my number 1 guy. I went with the Green Bay Packers running back Aaron Jones.
Yeah, no.
He's 4th in rush yards this year. Green Bay's got to bring him back. I think he's one of the top, like maybe top 5 free agents for 2021. I also went with Cardinals Kenyon Drake. He has almost 1,000 yards rushing right now. And Seattle Seahawks Chris Carson. I feel like he's a little underrated, but he's got 9 touchdowns. I like that you can also use him in the passing game. I really like his game a lot. And those are my
things. He's finally back off injury, and he really is. It's clicking.
I really like Chris Carson and what he can do. Wide receiver, we have some decent options here as well. My prediction is that we might have the same 3, but go ahead. Let's see what you got.
So I'm going with Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster. Stop dancing on the logos, and maybe he'll play a little bit better. Mr. Veteran here, AJ Green and T.Y. Hilton. So,
oh my God.
Are we not the same?
I have one of your 3, but I did say that there's a lot of options at wide receiver.
There really is. The thing with AJ Green is that I'm very fascinated by him, and I do follow him a lot. It's funny because I really did think him and Joe Burrow would click. I'm surprised, with Andy Dalton, like it wasn't like even more of a fire than it could have been. I really do like AJ Green. I think he's very talented. He is a veteran. And I just think that he can do big things. And if he can go over he's been on the Bengals for how long? Like we're looking at this and we're questioning, the Bengals, how long made the playoffs
somewhere else.
Maybe he goes somewhere else and is on fire. So that's why I definitely went with him, because he's one of the players that I do follow every season. I do like watching him. And this season in particular, I was kind of like, come on, like, let's go. Like, use it a little bit more. So
All right. Well, my number one wide receiver on this list, again, I'm probably putting him maybe in my top 10 available free agents. I'm going with Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
He has 707 yards and 10 touchdowns on the season. I just want everybody to think about how many touchdowns that is, considering that you're sharing the field with Mike Evans and Gronk and Cameron Brate and Scotty Miller, and you got to feed everybody, right? And he's still putting up big numbers. Number 2, I'm going with another guy that I'm probably putting in my top 10 free agents, Chicago wide receiver Allen Robinson. He's 5th in the league with 100 receptions right now. He has 1,213 receiving yards. He's top of the league in that as well. And then number 3, I am going with Pittsburgh Steelers Juju Smith-Schuster.
I was actually honestly looking. I didn't know Juju was a free agent. So
neither did I, to be very honest.
I can't see him on another team though. I think he truly fits the mold with Pittsburgh.
Steeler for life.
Because
we thought Odell was going to be a Giant for life.
Well.
All right, let's get into our tight ends.
Such an interesting. It
is, because we always talk about, especially when we talk about fantasy football, we always say that there's not a lot of options at tight end, right? There's not that many good ones, but I actually did find that there were some good free agents this year. I really did. So who are your 3?
Well, speaking of, Mr. Hunter Henry, for example, he is a very good tight end. Yeah. And then I'm also going with Jared Cook and Gerald Everett.
And like I said, with good options, those last 2 that you just named are not on my list, but they were very, very close to me. So I actually do feel like this is if you need a tight end this year, I do feel as though go free agency.
Free agency.
I think there's a lot of proven tight ends on this list.
The Giants, if you're freaking listening, I'm so sick of Evan Ingram.
I think Evan Ingram is not going anywhere. But number one, I went with Hunter Henry as well.
Yeah.
Number 2, I went with Tennessee Titans tight end Jonnu Smith. He's really made a name for himself this season, 8 touchdowns on the year. And number 3, because I think you can go about this in a cheap way.
Okay.
Kind of like this is only going off of one good season, right? I'm going with Green Bay Packer tight end Robert Tonyan.
All right.
568 yards, second in tight end touchdowns. He's got 10 touchdowns on the season. I don't know if it's a fluke. Maybe it's because you play with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. But if you can steal him away from the Packers, I feel like you can get him for cheap, and that would be a great free agency pickup.
All right.
All right, let's go into the big boys. We're going back to back big boys on this one. We're going to start with the offensive linemen and then go into the D linemen. For offensive linemen, we are grouping everybody together. Yeah. So you could pick an offensive tackle, a guard, or a center. Who are your 3? We've got so many names.
I know. So I'm going with the Niners, Trent Williams, Mr. Corey Linsley, and then to round it all off, Cameron Irving.
Okay. I am going, my number 1 is San Francisco 49ers tackle Trent Williams. My number 2 is Washington football team guard Brandon Sheriff. I was talking about him today. I remember him coming out in his draft, and I wanted him so bad. And Washington stole him at, I think it was pick 5. And I don't think we picked till
He went early.
I think we picked at 9. I think that was when we got Flowers. But I wanted Sheriff so bad.
Yeah.
And he's proven to be a phenomenal player. He panned out. And number 3, I'm going with New England guard Joe Thuney.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. The other big boys, the defensive linemen. This could be an edge rusher or a defensive lineman.
So I am going with the New York Giants, Leonard Williams. I am beyond pleased with his play this year. I'm very sad that he is a free agent. I hope the Giants do hang on to him. I am also going with Von Miller and Melvin Ingram. I'm too ingested in Evan Ingram here and Melvin Ingram, but I don't want to sleep on Marcus Golden too. So I was very upset when the Giants released him. I was very obviously when we played the Cardinals, we did get to see him in action again after him.
A huge factor.
And he proved to be. And so I don't want to sleep on him. I know we were only allowed to pick 3, so I did not want to leave him out of it, but I did want to definitely just mention that he's on my mind. He's still on my mind.
We could potentially get him back.
So that's how I'm kind of hoping. Don't lose Leonard Williams, but maybe get Marcus Golden back.
Yeah. Number 1, I'm going with Tennessee Titans defensive end Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah. No. I know. Yeah. This was a good.
Yeah. And when we group them together, there's a lot of names to look at, so it is hard. Number 2, I'm going with Los Angeles Charger defensive end Melvin Ingram. I agree with you. And number 3, I'm going with New York Giant defensive end Leonard Williams. We are going to have to pay him a lot of money to stay, but I hope we
already did pay him a lot.
I know. We're gonna have to do it again. We paid him a lot of money when he was coming from a Jets team where he was getting no sacks, nothing.
But it took him a while to finally do shit with the Giants.
But he's doing shit, and now that we paid him when he really wasn't doing shit, and now he's doing shit. So I can't imagine what we're gonna have to pay him.
So it's like shit. We gotta pay him money.
All right, let's go into our linebackers.
Alrighty, so I'm going with the New York Jets, Neville Hewitt. Speaking of the Jets, listen, they are a very, very poor team. They do have a lot of pieces of the puzzle, though. There's it's a lot of it with management. After going through a lot of this free agency stuff, they have a lot of things are clicking. Things are clicking.
I think people haven't questioned the Jets defense in a long, long time. No. I think it's always been the offense.
But there's definitely the puzzle pieces are there. It's just the connection and things like that. Avery Williamson, Pittsburgh Steelers. And then finally, Josh Bynes, the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. I'm going number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Shaq Barrett. Love his game. Number 2, I'm also going another Buccaneer with Levante David. So I would assume it's going to be hard for the Bucs to keep both of them. Maybe we see one of them on a new team this year. And last but not least, I'm also going with a Pittsburgh Steeler, but I'm going with Bud Dupree.
Oh, okay.
All right, corner and safety. We mashed these ones together. Who do you have?
So I'm going with Troy Hill, who is a cornerback. Justin Simmons on the Denver Broncos, and then also John Johnson on the Rams, safety, 101 tackles. Holy guacamole. He had more than safety and cornerbacks combined so far this season. So listen, you love to see it. And also too, when I looked at Troy Hill and Justin Simmons, I looked at 2 safeties and 1 cornerback. So Troy Hill was my cornerback and Justin Simmons is safety. When I looked at them, I was mainly looking at tackles. I was also looking at interceptions too, because I really wanted to see that, especially from the safety position. So obviously that's why some of the people made it. But listen, tackles, some of these guys are fucking going. It's very impressive to see some of the numbers here.
It shows that you're in on every play. You know what I mean? So
very impressed.
I have one of your 3. My number 1 guy is someone you had as well. I went with Denver Broncos safety Justin Simmons. Number 2, I went with Minnesota Vikings safety Anthony Harris. And last but not least, I threw a vet in here. I went with San Francisco 49ers cornerback Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman has come out and said that he understands that the Niners do need to secure a bunch of players who their contracts are coming to an end. He does think that he's going to play elsewhere next season, not because he wants to, but just because he's kind of being realistic about the situation. So that'll be interesting.
Business, and some of the players don't see it as a business. And it is. We talk about this on multiple episodes where if this was our job, things like that, you have to look at it that way. You can't take it personally, things like that. I like the way how he's looking at it, his mentality behind things.
Yep. All right. And last but not least, I think this is a fun one. And I actually do think there was some good free agents in this.
There was a decent amount, but I can't get serious with the kickers whatsoever. So
we are talking about the kickers. Who do you have?
Listen, I'm going with Nick Folk. Obviously, he's on the Patriots right now. Caro Santos, and then wrapping it up with Randy Bullock.
Okay, I definitely had Nick Folk as like my honorary mention. Like he was almost made it into my top 3. But number 1, I'm going with Chicago Bear Caro Santos. Number 2, I'm going with Las Vegas Raider Daniel Carlson. And number 3, I'm going with Tampa Bay Buccaneer Ryan Suckup.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this free agent is going to be wild. I also
that we just read you, and we only gave you 3 per position.
I know. Like, we had many different answers because there's many different options.
Katie and I normally don't give homework assignments, but like our homework assignment for everyone that's watching live right now and listening to the podcast later on, you need to just go look at the free agency list. Like
it's when we hot minute.
Yeah, like when we tell you to go look back at previous drafts, like on Wikipedia, and to like educate yourself, like you need to just go look at who is a free agent. Because like this game, like Katie said, like it took us like a while to actually go and do this. Like it was a very mind stimulating game for me to play, because I was like, holy crap, like there are so many free agents right now, and good ones. Like, and like I said, we just gave you 3.
2021 is bringing us a good free agency class, and it's bringing us a good draft class. And I'm excited to see how it all shakes up. And I know the teams that, fans whose teams are not making the playoffs, you're with us on this because you are already looking at this. You are reading your mock drafts. You're ready to go. Let's bring in some new people.
I'm not there. I mentally can't do a mock draft yet, or read them. I can't. I've been seeing them. I
started a long time ago. Not because of the Giants, just in general.
I mentally am not there yet, but you guys definitely need to go and just look at it. It's very intriguing. It's very interesting. Just go look at it for sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so it is that time of the night where we are going to get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, wine, life, COVID, quarantine, anything that's going on right now.
Yeah, so obviously when we missed you guys last week, I think that's when the Pro Bowl rosters were announced.
I think it was like right before Wednesday, yeah.
And I definitely have to say I feel pretty bummed as a Giants fan. Now, last year, I'm pretty sure we had 0 players go to the Pro Bowl. And this year we do have James Bradbury and Evan Ingram. And, I'm happy about that. But my expectations, and Caitlin can vouch for me, is I'm a very realistic person, right, when it comes to these things. Yeah. And I really expected much more. So I'm talking about my Pro Bowl snubs specifically for the Giants.
All right.
I'm very upset about the fact that Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers, Leonard Williams, Blake Martinez, and Graham Gano did not make the Pro Bowl this year.
Blake Martinez is playing his best football in years. He was obviously on the Green Bay Packers, where, they're a powerhouse team year after year. Could have been. He is making a name for himself on the New York Giants. He is one of that, I know you're going to get it off your chest even more, but this is your segment, but that one blew me away the most.
That one pissed me off, and I think it pissed off his teammates. I know some of them, I forget who it was.
Shit, so it clearly didn't piss him off. So
somebody on the Giants tweeted, like, where the hell is Blake Martinez? And absolutely right. I feel like he was one of the biggest snubs just across the board, not just for the Giants. So that was very disappointing. So I'm just keeping it quick. I'm saying those people deserve to make the Pro Bowl, if not all of them, definitely a few of them, because they really, really, truly deserved it. And then just playing off of our game and thinking about free agency and thinking about the draft, kind of had a conversation today with some of my coworkers and was just talking about the fact that I really, 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 really want the Giants to get a really solid wide receiver in the year after free agency. And I think, and it's funny because some of those names that I put down, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, if you read some of those articles like about the free agents for 2021, I did see a few where it was like, Oh, prediction. They go to the Giants because the Giants need somebody. We don't have a number one wide receiver. I know Giants fans were hopeful that maybe it would have been Slayton, but I have been lost this season.
That is me. I am
consistent. Sterling Shepard's not a number one receiver, right? We just don't have it, and you can't deny that fact. We are in that 10 spot range. I think we could have a shot at somebody like Jamar Chase in the draft, which would be phenomenal for us. But if not, I think the Giants really need to focus their free agency on trying to get one of these top wide receivers.
I agree. It's such a, and, Giants Twitter, which I follow every Sunday and every week and, day by day, I just day by day, it's a lot of like what they're doing and they're producing is kind of, showcasing other teams with, wide receiver one. And it's like, wow, this is what this team looks like. We are missing that. And I am, like what you said before, I am the Giants fan that thought Slayton would be our number one. I confidently went into this season thinking that, really. And listen, it's not there. We have a good list. It's Slayton, it's Shepard, it's Golden Tate, but no one's producing.
That was the conversation I had today with my coworkers. It's like we have a phenomenal mix of wide receivers threes, but we have absolutely nobody that you can make an argument for as a wide receiver.
Names. We have the names. We don't have the numbers. That's it right now. And listen, I think that was a great get it off your chest. Those, they definitely were snubbed for sure. Yeah. I don't know how in the world Evan Ingram made it. I don't know. You said
I'm
you
not
knew.
Surprised.
I cannot believe it. Very frustrating. He does not play like a Pro Bowl quarterback, and now he made the Pro Bowl. So the Giants are probably like, "Let's keep him."
It's just that he's just one of those tight ends that gets like wide receiver numbers. And numbers?
He's not doing anything. If
you look at his stats though, especially amongst other tight ends, he has the receiving yards. They're there. So I'm not surprised.
Just very frustrating. I don't like him. He bothers me.
No,
I think it was good. I for the first time in a very long time, the Giants have proved that, we're making progress, especially on the defense side of things.
We have playmakers. We have studs. We do have studs on our team.
I think the best compliment that I've heard week after week in the morning, Sports Center, Get Up, you hear me say that because I watch it every morning, is that the Giants are competitive. They compete week after week. It's because of those guys that you just listed. Yeah. Those guys are out there competing. So to see that only two, and actually only one of the two are the real competitors week after week, Bradbury hands down deserved it. If he did not get that, the world would be on.
My next, like throw this out then, and my next thought goes to the NFL top 100 players. When the players who know what they're talking about vote on this, then I want to see what happens.
Do you want to see a fight? Because I'll fight all of you. Vote for them.
Vote wisely, people.
So my get off my chest is real quick, just to kind of wrap up 2020. Listen, we have 1 day left in 2020. It has been a shitstorm of a year, but it's obviously, like I just said, admitted before that I do have COVID. So like wrap up 2020, Caitlin gets COVID, but I made a whole year without it. And in the end of the last week, I get it. But it's just honestly, all joking aside, it's been a very, very hard year on people mentally, physically. We've all gone through so many changes. I try to be a very positive and optimistic person though, but so I think back, listen, our 100th episode was in February. It was a week or two before lockdown. We got that in and we had a great night. I loved our 100th episode. We had so much fun doing it in front of a live audience. I hope that, listen, we're at 140 right now. We're on track for 200.
60 more.
I hope that we can do that live in front of even more people. And we get to do this for you week after week. We obviously adjusted to being in quarantine, being in lockdown, and we're still
a lot more remote episodes than we had ever done before.
Yeah, but we're still coming back to, in front of you guys week after week. It's truly great. We got our new logo this year. We opened up our Instagram, our Twitter, our YouTube. We're just doing big things, and it's because of all of you guys. We celebrated 3 years, and it's crazy that we've been doing this gig for 3 years. But again, it's just two best friends talking shit week after week.
Doing the shit.
Doing the shit. It's what we do every day. So we just let you guys in on it once a week. It truly has been. I'm excited. I'm very optimistic going into 2021.
Me too.
So many things. Because as much as this year has been crazy, there has been a lot of good stuff that has happened. Yeah. And Katie and I are truly blessed to do this for you guys week after week. We thank you that we've built this audience over 3 years. Yeah. We have a lot of returning people. We have a lot of new people, and that's exciting. Both factors are super exciting. Yeah. So I am just very, very happy with that. And we have 1 day left. I'm happy that we're talking to you on one of the final nights of 2020, and we will be with you guys in 2021 again. So
next time you see us, it'll be 2021, and we will be talking playoffs, and I'm very excited about that. Whether the Giants make it or not, I love playoff talk, and it's a very exciting part of the football season, as always. So, things that you do not want to miss this week. We have Real Housewives of Orange County on tonight at 9 o'clock. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City on tonight at 10. Real Housewives of Atlanta on Sunday at 8 p.m. And we have our Real Housewives of Dallas Season 5 premiere on Tuesday at 9. We'll be going back soon to 4 franchises running on TV. Where is New Jersey? Give us New Jersey.
I've heard early. Give us a date. 2021. I've heard early 2021. Those might be real.
Give us a date.
I've heard early 2021.
Again, Caitlin mentioned this earlier in the show. All NFL games are being played on Sunday. The Sunday night football game, it was flexed to the Washington football game at the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, with the NFC East still up for grabs. And then, of course, and this is, definitely for Caitlin, she's going to be all over this, the college football playoffs semifinals on Friday. Number 1, Alabama versus number 4, Notre Dame. I know Caitlin's got some Notre Dame fans in her family. That'll be interesting.
My whole family.
That plays at 4 p.m. Going to be a good game. And then, these are great matchups for the college football playoffs. They got 4 great teams here. Number 2, Clemson versus number 3, Ohio State at 8 p.m.
There's a lot of good games on today, tomorrow. And I think tonight is Florida and Oklahoma. Like, there's great games on. You guys turn on ESPN2.
All weekend. A lot of good stuff.
A lot of good. Listen, if you're a football junkie, just turn it on and sit on your couch and apparently
and stay away from everybody. And we'll be good. Just stay home and watch football. And we're good.
That's all we're asking you to do. It's
not that hard, people. Come on.
And honestly, you get to do tomorrow night what you've been wanting to do for how many years, all of us. Sit home on your couch in pajamas. No one's doing New Year's Eve big. If you are, question yourself. Because, listen, no one wants to pay the absurd amount of money, do stupid things. Everyone has always wanted to stay on their couch in pajamas.
Pajamas, pizza, wine, movies. Do it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is.
Listen, my boyfriend and I, we're getting a bunch of champagne. We're getting, firecrackers. And we're going to have a great time.
Live it up.
It's pajamas all night.
Love it. Enjoy. See you guys in 2021. Crazy to say.
Oh, it is really. See you in 2021.